go.
I'm getting a little echo. Was that me or you?
No, it's Blab. It does that.
Blab.
I know. Luckily, I'm not getting the echo today because sometimes I get it.
Yeah.
The easiest thing to do is you could log out and log back in and see if it cleans it up.
Check. Yeah, maybe I'll do that just because it's so distracting.
It is very distracting. Yeah. So go ahead and log out and log in and see if it goes away.
Back.
No problem. And while he's doing that, I'm going to drop in a link and see how it works. Okay, show colors and accept.
Selected devices. Much better.
And Lou is back. Much better? More better?
No, same thing.
Well, it's crazy. Yeah, sometimes it does what it should do, does what it doesn't.
That's technology.
It is. Well, especially Blab Beta.
I know, people forget that. They're like, oh, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. Well, it's new and it's free.
Right, exactly, yeah. Two of my favorite words. So, how you doing, man?
We're going to see you later this week?
Yeah, I'm going to be down there. I'll see you down in Atlanta. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's good. It's going to be a fun time in the old hot Atlanta.
Get up and play the drums again a little bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get up, and I'm trying to think of what songs I want to play with bands, so it's going to be fun. So anyways, I always like to start off like I do normally, and the first thing that I do, let me find my minicam here, is say thank you for coming to CBS, which is Central Bacon Studios, and this Blab is sponsored by two things: the Bacon Podcast, which if you have not listened to Lou's interview on the Bacon Podcast, go check it out. Look up Lou Bortone on the Bacon Podcast, and also sponsored by Bacon Coach. And that's where I have my new book coming out. It's called The Bacon System. Of course, everything is bacon. That's why we're at Central Bacon Studios. So
is that why I get hungry every time I chat with you? I get this
absolutely
craving for
meat. Yeah. And I'm not speaking this time at NAMM, so I won't be cooking any bacon. So, although you never know, I might cook it just maybe when Jeff Herring's doing his thing, I might cook it just to spite him, or maybe to and say, "Whoa, we worship you, Jeff." So, anyways, I like to start off by getting your backstory, so people haven't met you, and this is the first time they've encountered the Lou Bortone. That you were a producer, what, CBS or something like that?
I worked at E! Entertainment Television in marketing.
That's right.
And,
that's right.
A couple of divisions of Fox Kids Network. And I was always on the marketing side, always on the other side of the camera, never on camera. So when this video came along in like 2005 with YouTube, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to be on camera. So,
and now you are on camera a lot.
Yeah, I mean, despite the fact that I'm a little camera shy, you have to do it these days. You just got to get out and do your Blabs or Facebook Lives or YouTube. So, yeah, I grew up in the TV biz on the marketing and promotion side, and then ended up in the online business somehow.
Cool. So, so what, in your world, I mean, you're doing a lot of marketing and stuff like that, and I see you're doing a lot of training and seminars and webinars and stuff like that. What things are you finding? What's hot? What's the latest and greatest stuff?
Obviously Blab. A lot of folks are navigating and flocking to Blab. Facebook Live. It's so funny because I have some students and people who don't have it yet, and they're so angry. Like, why can't I get on Facebook Live? Like, once you have it, you actually got to use it. So, right. Yeah, a lot of the live video streaming, obviously. Folks are talking about that, and I think because it's so much easier now to fire up a Blab or get on Facebook Live, where most people are using Facebook already, and just start sharing their message and getting the message out there.
Yeah, and it's one of the coolest things. I haven't tried this yet, but I saw a video of somebody doing it, and I'm going to try sharing a Vimeo here and see if this works. Okay, let's see if the audio actually works.
Hey.
So let me see if I can play it and see.
Is it playing?
Oh
yeah. Cool.
Now, could you hear the audio from that?
I have to play it myself on my end. So.
Okay. Oh, so that's how it works. So you actually have to play it. Yeah. So now you can drop in videos.
Nice.
And yeah, so I think that's a pretty cool little addition to Blab. So now you can play videos, and you can also, I saw that you can add slideshows from. I haven't tried it from SlideShare. Yeah. Let me try a SlideShare and see if that works. Yeah. But I know that from Google Slides or whatever, you can add them and drop them in. But let me try SlideShare and see what happens. Which I just thought was really cool.
Yeah, that was the only complaint I had about Blab, was that you couldn't really share images or slides.
Right, but now you can. Now they got that in there, so that is totally that's rocking it, baby.
I know that's it's kind of a Google Hangouts killer, if that's the case.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. So let me see if I can copy this link here. Let's see if this is going to view. Let's see if this is going to. No, that's stats. But yeah, so it's super cool that you can finally. Trying to see, disable handle. I don't want to do that. I want to share it. Edit, preview. Is that downloads? Why won't it just let me play? I'm just trying to see. Here it is. There it is. Okay, so let's see if this works now. I'm going to try dropping that in. And this is SlideShare coming out of LinkedIn, obviously, who owns SlideShare. Right. So here we go. I'm going to try sharing that. And look at that. Nice. So now you can take SlideShares. Yeah. Yeah. Now, as I change them, are you seeing the changes? Cool.
All right, so this is the first time for me. This is cool. I knew it was just a matter of time before they caught up on that.
Yep. So there's a new way to use Blab, is you can pull in guests and actually go through presentations and stuff like that. And the nice thing about this is it records and sends you everything. Yeah. So you don't even have to mess with it.
No, that's the beauty. Thing. And I think another reason why people like Blab is it's giving them instant content. It's giving them new YouTube videos, because you can share this to YouTube.
Right.
So it's a new way to create content fairly easily and get it out there. I mean, before even with Hangouts, there was a little bit of a learning curve. A few people got burned on the, it didn't work for me. And I think when folks do video, it's kind of like once bitten, twice shy.
Right.
So, if they can find something really easy that works the first time, like Blab or Facebook Live, then maybe they're hooked.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the cool thing about this too, is this integrates directly into Twitter. Facebook Live obviously goes into Facebook. Yep. Things like Periscope, unless you're using something like Catch, it's not safe in sharing. So you have to basically add on that in order to keep them and share them and stuff.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other things you've been playing with?
Besides live video, I've been doing a lot of stuff with folks, just trying to get them kind of to the next step of doing video, because a lot of my students are either camera shy or kind of technically challenged. So anything that makes it easier for them, and if that means, okay, just do a video with your iPhone or your smartphone or your tablet. So I've been trying to use mobile devices more, and I think we know now that over 50% of video is viewed on mobile. So I think we have to start thinking in terms of, people are watching a screen this size, so you can't make the videos too lavish that have all kinds of stuff going on. So I've been working a lot on the mobile side, just doing a lot of mobile video. And every now and then I'll go crazy and say, okay, I'm going to do some video with a lot of special effects and stuff in the background and just do goofy things and experiment. And once I figure out how to do it, I share it with the rest of my community.
Cool. One of the things, I was actually at a golf show, and I found this thing.
Oh my gosh.
I'm pulling back. But what it basically is a clamp that allows you to put your any size iPad in.
Oh, cool.
And it works with, I'll be bringing it down to NAMS, because that way I can shoot some stuff. But it basically goes on any kind of tripod. I bought the little, kind of rubber tripod just to put it as a desk stand. But it's cool because it really takes the iPad and turns it into a much more usable device as opposed to, so you can angle it any way you want. You can put it on a regular tripod and you can do all kinds of stuff. So you could use it for photos, for videos. And then the other thing that I bought is this little, I got to pull this over here. A little Rode mic.
Oh, nice.
It's just a little lavalier. Yeah. So just plug that right in there, clip this on, especially with a black shirt. You can't see it too well. And those two things combined have really helped. I mean, make videos a lot easier to get to.
I think if people find, I call it the video sweet spot. If you can find the video that you're most comfortable creating and your favorite platform, you'll do video a lot more often. So for me, I do a lot of webinars. I share a lot of slides. And now that you can share slides on Blab, I may use that even more often to share information. And for some folks, they just have no problem being on camera. They'll just jump on and start doing a video. Other folks like, is there something where I don't have to be on camera? Can I use Powtoon or Video Scribe or Animoto or something where they can still get their message out, but not necessarily have to be on camera all the time?
So what do you do to help people get over the fear of being on camera?
Usually I start them with off-camera videos so that they realize they can do video without necessarily having to be on camera. And then once they've got a few of those under their belt, start with something really quick and easy. Like I said, look, if you do YouTube tips and they're like 30 seconds, a minute long, you don't have to really memorize anything. You're just sharing one quick tip. And they sort of get their feet wet and get used to the idea and get, I've seen it now. I did it, Felicia, my partner in the 30-day video challenge. We took probably 100 folks who had never done video before. And in the 2 or 3 weeks that we've been doing that, the progress is amazing. Once people kind of get over that hump and they get more comfortable on camera, they're just off and running. So that's pretty cool.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been great to see so many newbies now really kind of embracing it and doing video every day and not even thinking twice about getting on camera.
And what kind of fields are all these people coming from? I mean, I'm sure they're all over the place.
Yeah, it really runs the gamut. Some folks are, online marketers and coaches and stuff like us, but we've got, chiropractors, dentists, astrologer. We have an astrologer. So
wow. Did she predict that this was going to happen?
Yeah, it's funny. I had what is it when they predict the future? Yeah, so
psychics.
Yeah, psychic. And they're like, "Oh, when are you going to be on my Blab?" I'm like, "You're the psychic. You tell me." So
right. One of my all-time favorite cartoons is a bunch of people standing around the Psychic Friends Network or something like that. And they all lost their jobs. It's like, who saw this coming? Oh, that's cool though. Yeah. So yeah,
video now has gotten so accessible and so much easier. Whether it's Blab or those crazy kids using Snapchat, it's just almost like second nature.
Yeah. So have you played around with Snapchat? I mean, I put an account together. I just haven't really dug into it too much.
A little bit. Like I have 17-year-old twins who have pretty much, forbid me to use it, but I'm going to jump in anyway. And they're like, "Dad, you have Facebook. Leave Snapchat alone."
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But, I hear that if you want to reach that age group, that's where you need to be,
And it's really starting, like I always say, if you want to see what's coming next, go see what the teenagers are doing 3 or 4 months from now. That'll be more mainstream. Like now Gary Vaynerchuk and mainstream people are starting to use Snapchat more. So we're taking it back from the teens.
Somebody will have to invent something else for them to dig into, It's crazy, but I just got done teaching a couple at the beginning of the month. I was down at a university and I was teaching a class on. They wanted me to teach podcasting, just talk about podcasting, and it was for a PR class. And the funny thing is, I had Scott Smith on my Blab the day before talking about podcasting, and so I pulled that up, and all the kids are going, "What's Blab?"
Really?
They've never seen it. Yeah, the kids in college. Now you talk Snapchat, you talk, Vine, you talk all of those things. They know all of those things. Twitter, they're big into Twitter. They're leaving Facebook in droves because their moms are on there and dads are on there, and But it's amazing to see what the new kids are into, and it's. I mean, the world's changing so darn fast. I mean, this isn't even 6 months old.
No, it's crazy, and it seems like the shorter formats like Vine and Snapchat. Maybe it's because of our online ADHD, but those seem to be the ones that are like, okay, I want something quick. I want it now. I want immediate gratification.
Right.
And I'm not going to wait till YouTube renders my video and, takes 10 minutes.
Right. And Instagram, same thing. It's like people are throwing up shorties on Instagram. I think you get the same amount, 15 seconds or something there.
15 seconds, yeah. And, people say, oh, can you do in 15 seconds? It's like, well, TV stations have been doing 15-second commercial 40 years. So.
Right. And radio too. I mean, forever, 15-second spots.
Are you finding that people are using Blab as a podcast platform as well?
I've seen some people do that. And, my hesitation with it is the technology is glitchy, like that echo that you heard. I mean, and it's, I wouldn't use it as a main platform, but, there's nothing wrong with taking that and creating another podcast. It's just, I look at podcasts more like radio production. It's very similar to doing, what I used to do in my recording studio. But there are people that do exactly this. They blab and then they turn it into a podcast and throw it up on iTunes. And, it's cool. But I mean, I've heard, where the host all of a sudden gets disconnected and the guy's sitting on there talking himself, and it's like, it's, hey, where do you go, man? But it works, and that's the cool thing about Blab is it does throw at you the video and audio file so you can do whatever you want with it. Just the audio file alone, I could see, because I take my Blabs and I throw them up on YouTube, and then I copy them over to my own website and then basically just, I frame in the video in there. And you could take the audio if you wanted to, if you felt like it was good enough to send it to a transcription service and get it transcribed and, generate more content that way too. So I could easily throw up the audio file and the video file and the transcription if I wanted to take it that far. But so I think that's where the beauty of it.
And that's, repurposing your content, giving you a chance to get your stuff out there in more than one place. Because we're also time crunched. It's like, hey, if I can take a Blab and turn it into a podcast and turn it into a video on YouTube and then send that video to Facebook, I've got, most of my audiences covered.
Right, exactly. And that's why this is so cool. So anything else you've been playing with? Any other cool things you see in the works?
Wow. It's just, everything's moving so quickly. It's hard to keep track of it.
I know.
And I keep saying, I got to do more with Instagram. And then, okay, something else just came out. And, I'm sure you've heard YouTube Connect is going to be coming in May, which obviously is in response to Facebook and Blab and all that. So I don't know exactly how they're going to integrate that or how it's going to look, but that's something I've been keeping an eye on.
Yeah. Can't wait to play with that. But, sometimes YouTube hits home run or Google hits home run. Sometimes they don't. I mean, Google Plus, never got off the ground, but, it's still in my world, it's still something that's a social media platform I have all my clients play in because it's Google, you just because nobody's looking at it doesn't mean you shouldn't post content there.
So I think YouTube Connect will be interesting to see what happens with Facebook. As more people adopt Facebook Live, I think that's going to, obviously have an impact on what we see on YouTube. And like anything, the video seems to get a lot more play and prominence than the typical status check-in. Right.
Yeah, no, the videos do. And you get, the biggest thing about it is you get immediate notifications that your friends are live. That's one of the things. So it's really it's a BSOS, bright, shiny object that pops up when you use it. So what about Meerkat? Did you play with Meerkat at all? I heard that died.
Not really. And I was talking about it last week and someone was like, oh my gosh, it went away. It's like, and I think that's going to be the landscape for a while. It's a lot of things are going to come out and things are going to come and go. And if you can get a foothold, like I think Blab has done that just because of the interaction and because it's saved to YouTube. I mean, Periscope, I can record them, but I don't like disposable platforms that I can't repurpose. So I think the nice thing about Blab is it's pretty low hanging fruit. It's fairly easy for folks to use. They can, it seems a little less formal. So, okay, well, I mean, I'm not in my pajamas, but I've seen people do it that way. And I think it's just a matter of figuring out, all right, well, which ones are going to get enough traction to hang on for a while.
Right. Yeah, and it is kind of a come and go kind of thing. And like with anything else, we don't own, the space. I mean, you don't own Blab, you don't own Facebook. If Facebook decided to kill your account, all that content goes away. So you got to find a way to curate it yourself.
Yes. So I always emphasize the fact that, you are playing in somebody else's sandbox with all of this, Blab, Facebook, YouTube, and you've got to find a way to drive that traffic and those viewers back to your website where you control the experience, you control the environment, and ultimately, you're not going to disappear one day and like, oh my gosh, Facebook shut me down, and
Right.
then what happens?
Yeah. Now, have you played much with Vimeo? Do you spend a lot of time
A
in
little
that?
bit, and it's funny because people say, well, should I do Vimeo or YouTube? And I'm like, why not both? I mean, you've already got the video created.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually use the analogy that YouTube is the Walmart of video hosting sites, and Vimeo is like Nordstrom. It's,
Mm-hmm.
cleaner, higher end. A lot of video purists want to be on Vimeo just because it's less cluttered. And all those kinds of things like Vimeo or Wistia or Vubix, those are places where you can host the videos, but you can also add all kinds of bells and whistles to the videos to,
Right.
what do they call it? They have like a turnstile, like on Wistia, where you have to enter your email before you can watch the video. So
Yep.
they sort of force
Yeah.
you to,
So you can actually, you can have a gateway so that, that way people have to, give you their information in order to watch stuff, which is, you could do the same thing on your own website.
Right.
It's just it's slicker just having one location.
Yeah, and being able to share, okay, all my share buttons are on the bottom and things like that. So the more you can kind of customize the experience, and the easier you can make it for folks to watch, the better.
Right. And one of the things I love about Vimeo, especially for my short little blurbs, is at the end of it, you can actually have a hot link that goes directly to where you want people to go next.
Yeah,
So
that's the problem with YouTube is, it's really easy to go down a rabbit hole and lose folks into something else.
Right. Squirrel.
So, yeah, I think it's really just a matter of finding the platform that works best for you and your business and embracing it and using it more because, video, what does Cisco say that 79% of video traffic of web traffic is going to be video in the next few years. So it's become the way we communicate. And, I see kids using FaceTime all the time instead of calling. So it's so visual. And, it's just the way that the world's going.
Right. What I found amazing was my dad worked for AT&T back in the 1960s. And I worked for them in the 80s. And in the 1960s, they actually had the first video phones, where it was a phone where you could actually dial, and nobody wanted them because nobody wanted to see them not perfect, and without their hair done or in their bathrobe and stuff like that, and it bombed.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it's like it's so prevalent. I don't think anybody really cares.
No, I mean that's the thing. Once CNN and The Tonight Show and all these national networks started using Skype and Hangouts for their guests and saying like, okay, it's all right if they're a little out of focus. I'm not going to send a news crew all the way to Iowa to do a live shot. So once they adopted it, it was kind of like, all right, all bets are off.
Right.
And the other thing that I find interesting about, YouTube and broadcast in general, because when you mentioned your dad worked at AT&T, my dad worked at WBC TV in Boston in the 60s. And, back then it was like the big three TV networks. Nobody else had access to anything like this. And now the TV stations and networks are trying to play catch up and say, how do we, make sure that we get online and own our piece of the internet? One example of that's kind of cool, I think, is that I looked and, I watch Jimmy Fallon. I'm kind of an insomniac. I stay up late. So a typical Jimmy Fallon audience on NBC is 3 to 4 million viewers live. Now he puts his clips on YouTube, and some of those clips on YouTube have 60 million views. So like 6 million viewers on TV, 60 million viewers on YouTube. It's just crazy.
But that's, the people like him are embracing the internet. They're learning how to, use this as a better marketing tool for themselves. And, it's the world is changing. And, I just don't think that people, in general, know how to embrace it yet because it's so new. I mean, like here, we're sitting here talking, we're giving great content. I can advertise the heck out of this, but because it's 9 a.m. in the morning, I don't get as many people coming. But, it's the replays. I mean, I do this because I'm creating content for people to watch it later.
Absolutely.
They can watch it at their convenience. So we've got, back in the 80s, I remember we were trying to figure this out and we couldn't figure it out. But we were trying to create a company that was going to do video for hospitals. that on demand that you could get this like, like Babbling Brook with this kind of new age music, and so that it would be the relaxation channel. But the problem is the on demand technology wasn't there anymore. But we did predict that someday you'd be able to go to your TV and basically call up anything that you want on demand. And, that's all here now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you got Xfinity or whatever cable system you got, but, you basically, through an Apple TV or anything like that, you can watch anything you want anytime.
Absolutely.
You don't have to schedule, 7 o'clock for Batman and, 8 o'clock for the Flintstones or whatever it is that you watch when you were a little kid. Now it's just, if I want to watch it, I'm going to get it. That's it.
And the other thing I noticed, again, sort of taking a cue from my teens, is that there's no distinction between screens anymore.
Right.
They'll watch, the crazy Kardashian thing on YouTube or on the computer or on the iPad, and, TV, internet, iPhone. They don't care where it comes from or where they watch it. They don't make any distinction between television and the internet. It's just all on screen anytime when you want it.
Right. A screen is just a screen anymore.
With the exception of maybe the Super Bowl or the Oscars or something that's really event and full programming, that's live at that time. Otherwise, they'll watch it when they feel like it. Right.
And the TV is morphed into a computer, so even that, I mean, most TVs now come with direct access to, Hulu and Netflix, and you can pull up your own pictures and, watch YouTube videos. You could stream, with something as simple as a little $69 box in Apple TV. You can stream whatever's on your iPad to your TV, and some of them have that built in, so it's amazing.
Yeah.
And then, taking it to the next level with cars, the newest generation of cars now have 4G Wi-Fi built into them.
Great.
And now they're starting to get podcasts, and I'm pretty sure that, they're going to be able to take an iPad style thing and put it in the back of the seat, and kids are going to have on-demand entertainment systems in the car. Remember the old days when you used to pop in a VHS when you took the long trip for your kids, and it had that little, like 4-inch square TV that was hanging out of the ceiling that you always bumped your head on
in the minivan.
Yeah,
I know, and it's so funny because now it's like Wi-Fi is a basic human right. People get so into it.
Right.
There's no Wi-Fi in this car. What the hell is this? What kind of world are we living in? There's no Wi-Fi.
Right. Yeah, and it's I haven't bought a new car in I don't know how many years, so I don't know what the technology is like, but I'm assuming it's just like out of this world cool.
Yeah, I mean it's just nuts. So people, I mean, my kids are like, we don't want to listen to this. We want to listen to our own stuff. So plug that in and watch this. And again, on demand, anytime, anywhere, whether you're in a plane or a car or a train, doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, it's true. And now planes too. I mean, they're all Wi-Fi enabled, which is totally cool. I mean, you can, you have to pay if you want access, but you could still, on your tablet, just sit there and watch, regular TV. So I remember flying down, watching the Today Show, flying down to Atlanta last time. It's like, this is totally cool. I could just sit here and watch TV for 2 hours and, not worry about it. Yeah. Or I could work, which I have a hard time working on planes. I don't. It's it's because you're like this, And I actually, I did a blog about this. I can't remember where I was coming back. I think I was coming back from California, speaking out at Connie Reagan Green's event, and I asked the flight attendants. I said, "Can you tell me how big the seat area is?" And they said no. And I said, damn, I wish I had a tape measure. She said, wait 1 second. So she went and got it. We measured it. It was 18 inches wide by, I don't remember what it was, deep, 16 inches or something like that. And so you have a total square space of 4 cubic feet. That's what you have, is 4 cubic feet inside that thing. And it's like with the tray down, even if the person's sitting straight up, you still can't do anything because your arms are like this and they can't go out because you'll hit the other people. And,
and I haven't, adopted the nimbleness of being able to just text everything,
right.
It's like, again, like 17-year-olds that texting me all the time. I'm like, can't you just call me?
Yeah. Well, and my wife, when I got my last cell phone, I got the iPhone 6 and I gave her my iPhone 5 and she had an iPhone 3, I think. And so I finally got, I always say that when I speak, I say my wife had a rotary dial cell phone, pretty much. When she got that, she finally figured out Siri because she couldn't get Siri on the other one. And she learned how to text the kids. And she said, Siri, hey, text Timmy, what are you doing tonight? And then Timmy would immediately, answer back, where if she left him a message, she wouldn't hear back from him for days. She was wondering whether they're alive or dead, But now if she wants to check, she texts them, and she knows how to do it via Siri, so she doesn't have to thumb to it. And she loves that,
It's crazy. It's just technology's moving so quick. And I think at the end of the day, we also have to think that it's not just the technology, it's still the content and the message. And, do you have something worthwhile to share with folks and focus on your message and not get so caught up in the technology that you're just doing it for the sake of doing it?
Right. Well, and one of the trends that's happening, and I have a mastermind group that I run up here in Chicago. It's a wide variety of people, audio, video. We just got a guy who flies drones for a living. Somebody who does, blogging, podcasting, all that kind of stuff. But one of the things we were looking at was VR, and was it Google? I mean, Google Glasses died. That never quite caught on because it just wasn't the technology. But the new thing is Google. What's it called? Google.
Oh, the virtual reality.
Yeah, there's a name for it. I just can't remember what it was. It's Google something. I mean, Samsung now sells, glasses for the VR stuff. Have you played it all with that? Where do you think that's going to come in?
No, but I think it's going to be huge. I had dinner with a former colleague of mine in LA who is in charge of. There's an association for virtual reality, how movies are starting to use it, and 3D and all that. So he's the president of this association that didn't exist a few years ago, and talking about China and different companies, Disney, etc., using VR, and that it's just going to be so enormous. I think it's just going to be crazy because it's going to give us that whole separate world to live in.
Yeah, I mean, I played with it. You can actually download apps, and I didn't get the actual box glasses. I mean, you can order them. It's just cardboard. I think that's what it's called. It's Google Cardboard. And so you can order it, and I played with it. And I mean, it's pretty amazing. You just sit there and you turn this way, and the whole world moves with you, and you can look up, down, and and if you walk, it moves.
Yeah, so he was telling me that, when I was speaking to my colleague in LA about how they've got these cameras now that are like globes, and they have 16 different lenses in them, so that it's getting all these different perspectives. I don't know, it's just mind-blowing really when you think about it.
Yeah, and the amount of data, I mean, just the amount of data that is being created by all of this video virtual reality podcasts. It's just years ago, I talk about when I owned my recording studio, I bought one of the first digital audio editing systems in Chicago. And I bought the size of the hard drive at the time, the largest one that you could buy, which was the size of a toaster, was a 300 megabit hard drive that cost me $4,000. I mean,
this is 2 gigs.
Right? Yeah, I know.
God,
that's 100 times, close to 100 times the data space.
$8.
It's amazing. Right? Exactly. Yeah. And but I just think about all with all the video going up on YouTube, on Vimeo, on Blab. I mean, just the amount of data out there on the cloud is it's mind-boggling. Compared to where it was.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing again, where the content and the message comes in, because people are always like, well, how do I get more views on YouTube? And my wise ass answer is make better videos. So.
Right. Well, it's true, because there is so much noise, and that's the biggest challenge, is getting people to pay attention. Everybody wants to, grow their list fast, get more views, get more website. In my book, I talk about this experiment that we did. There's a new book coming out. It's called The Bacon System, and it's like a 12-step process. And I talk about analytics, and there's a nonprofit that I work with here locally that got a grant from Google for $10,000 a month in Google Ads.
Oh, nice.
And it's a legit thing. It's a legit, because I do have one client who spends $5,000 a month with Google, and then Google calls me every month and says, okay, how can we help them spend it better or do more?
Yep.
So I asked him, I said, what's the deal with this? He says, no, it's a legit thing. Nonprofits can basically apply for this grant. They get 1 year, $10,000 per month. And so I helped them set that up. We went in and set up the AdWords accounts and started watching the analytics. And the amount of traffic going to the website skyrocketed by 300%. But the amount of traffic from the local area, the people that they wanted to reach, went down.
Really?
Yes, it went down. And it started to go up a little later on, after a couple of months, but not $10,000.
Yeah.
What we found was because they couldn't spend $10,000 locally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because it's the auto bids. You can't go in there and crank the bids up and down. They put clamps on it. So we decided to go national with it. So they're getting lots of hits from New York and LA, but who's going to come to a nonprofit in Chicago from LA and Detroit and Louisiana and all that other stuff. So they're getting hits from those places, but it just blew me away that the amount of traffic that they got increased incredible, but it didn't match their audience. And so, it wasn't the right traffic.
Were you guys doing any YouTube ads or strictly AdWords?
No, just strictly AdWords. That's all they gave.
Yeah, because that's sort of my next adventure, I think, and I keep saying I got to get into that. But exploring YouTube ads, because I think it's a little like the Wild West. It's probably still very affordable, and it's just a new frontier.
Yeah, no, it is a new frontier, and I haven't played with it, but I've studied it a little bit. And I mean, there's different kinds of ads that you have, and there's PPA and PPC, right. Pay per action, pay per click, and it's fairly reasonable. I mean, it's closer to what you're going to pay for Facebook ads, which is in the if you do really really well, you can get it down to 4 cents. And most people are paying like 50 cents per action, in Facebook ads. So it's around the same cost. But I think the hardest problem with that is just finding the right niche for your ad, because there's so much stuff on Facebook or on LinkedIn. Yeah. And there's so much stuff on LinkedIn, there's so much stuff on Facebook, there's so much stuff on YouTube, and it's finding the the audience that is organically going to YouTube watching something. That's where I think the challenge comes from, is identifying the audience,
And the creative, I think, too, because I think people get so caught up in the analytics that they forget that at the end of the day, something has to look good enough to attract people, whether it's video or Facebook ad. You still got to have that hook.
Right. Yeah. So, are you Mac or PC?
Mac.
You're Mac. So
all the way back.
Are you
back in the day?
Yeah, me too, man. Once you go Mac, you never go back. So what do you play with? Do you play with Camtasia, ScreenFlow, for those kind of things?
Yeah, mostly Final Cut Pro and Adobe After Effects. So I still do. I don't do much editing anymore, except for my own stuff, because it was becoming so commoditized. I used to do sizzle reel videos and things like that. But if people can get them for $5, why would they hire me?
Right.
But I still enjoy, messing with, Final Cut Pro and Adobe After Effects, and just kind of seeing what you can do and trying to be creative, whether it's with green screen or anything like that. So I'm doing a lot of stuff with, just Final Cut, and now with Adobe After Effects, it's kind of easy to find a template and then customize it. So if people are like, I want a video intro, a 4-second intro for my, YouTube show. I'm like, okay, I can do that in about 10 minutes now. So. And
cool.
Apps too. I mean, Mike Stewart's like the guy for that, our friend from Georgia. Yep. Every time I see him, he shows me 3 or 4 new apps, and I'm like, I can't believe it. This used to take, it's a $2.99 app, and it used to take $2,000 software to create the same thing. Get that. Oh, that was Siri.
Right. Hey Siri, how you doing? Yeah, no, and also people like Brian G. Johnson. He's really embracing video. He's got his own YouTube channel. He's really going crazy on it. Built a studio, the whole 9 yards, a green screen. Joel Comm. He's embracing all the new technologies and things like that too. And a lot of people are doing it, but it's one thing to get into it. But like you and I mean, we started out as true video people. I mean, we worked in. Not that what people are doing today isn't true video. It was a different era. It was a different time. I mean, the electrons flowed through wires, and some of the things had, tubes in them and things of that nature. It was a very different time.
Yeah. And, that's the other thing now. It's like as a video, sorry, Rock of the Pug is getting a little crazy here, but as somebody that came from that world, I see some of the stuff on YouTube or Facebook Live or jump cut things. And I'm like, the jump cut. Oh my God, that's like, and now it's just like whatever.
Yeah, no, people do it all the time. But there's something that I learned too. I mean, there is, there are still needs for creative people to do video because it is still an art to understand pacing, lighting, sound. I mean, all of those things. There's so many pieces to this that, and there's a flow. It's like, I mean, I remember, editing the music all the time. And I don't think people do that anymore. They just basically edit what they want and drop in a piece of music, where the old one was you really were playing to the beat so that everything would kind of, the video and the stimulation from the video and the music working together really kind of created an experience. And you see that a lot in movies. You see a lot of that kind of stuff in movies where everything is kind of done to the beat, where it really helps propel the scene along. And I think that's kind of a lost art in some degree.
And hopefully it'll kind of come back as people start to embrace the technology, because it's kind of like, when PageMaker first came out and you could use 30 different fonts, people would do ads with 30 different fonts. It's like, well, it's good. Just because you have all that stuff doesn't mean you should use it. Or, I was like you, I was a musician and went in the studio and really did it artistically and didn't just press a couple buttons in Pro Tools and like, oh, it doesn't matter if we're out of tune, we can fix that. And,
Right. Pitch correct.
So, I mean, the technology is an enabler, but it's also, maybe in a bad way. Sometimes it doesn't mean that we're going to do a good job or have a good message. It just means that it's easier to get it out there.
Right. It's quicker. And, but it's, it's the way of the world. And, I do think that there is, I think there's an untapped market of just teaching people, basic video concepts. I mean, things that we've been talking about, it's like jump cuts and it's the same thing. You brought up, PageMaker when it first came out. It's the same thing with PowerPoint. Just because you have 40 different transitions doesn't mean you have to use them all on one slide, and, and I'm sure the same thing is true with, people playing around with some of the video editing software. They're doing all these goofy things. I remember back in the day when I went to NAB, and the big thing was, and I'm having a hard time remembering the name of the box and the device, but it was called the Kiki wipe. Do you remember the Kiki wipe, where it was basically the dancing girl that would, twirl around the screen, and then so the wipe was actually the dancing girl going across the screen,
like the flying toasters.
Yeah, that's what it was. I think it was Flying Toaster. Yeah. Yeah, that was it. So, it's come a long way since then.
Yeah, and it's funny, too, because as I mentioned, I just finished this 30-day video challenge with our colleague, Felicia Slattery. And as people progress and now they're comfortable on camera, they want to do different things. I mean, they started with, like, the camera was down here and you were getting, like, a total up-the-nose shot, or half of them was, like, they're shooting their video this way. I'm like, hello, or they're like this.
Right.
And then eventually they start to learn rule of thirds and composition and things like that. And now they're like, okay, well, now how do I do green screen? Or how do I go to the next level with my audio? So it's kind of neat. I mean, people are realizing that, it's still, like you say, an art form. And if you're going to do it right, it's going to take a little bit of learning curve.
Right.
Even though you can just jump on Blab and be like, oh, my lights are everywhere. And I'm guilty of that with Blab, too, because it's like, all right, now it's more Blab. So it's a little less formal. I feel like, okay, well, my lighting's not quite right. I don't have my dad's end quite framed. So
cool.
So, but you still got to make it look good at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why, I mean, I took, when I first started doing Blab, I mean, behind me is like this, I've got French doors and it goes out to a wall of lights and it's just like blinding. So I basically bought this behind me as a shower curtain.
Really?
That I bought on Amazon.
A bacon shower curtain.
A bacon shower curtain for $50, and I basically take my projection screen, just pull it out, take some paper clips, clip it up, and then, so it's my portable little CBS studio.
That's awesome.
Got close the window lights over here, turn on some lights over, just a little bit just to try to get it looking, better than it did before.
And how did you do the lower third on Blab?
It's Minicam. Yeah, Minicam is great. I mean, it does transitions, so I can do that and bring up, the Bacon Podcast.
Yeah, and I was playing with that the other day where I had my iPad and my iPhone, so I had 3 different camera sources, so I could do angles. And,
Oh yeah, you can do a lot. And the new version 4, I haven't gotten it yet. There's an upgrade for that, but it's worth paying the whatever the
it's like $50
price is. I think it's like Yeah, I think that's what I paid for the first version. So, and I'm trying to get it to where it's going to let me cut myself back in there and go. Yeah, so you can create, as many lower thirds as you want. And it took a while to figure out, how, because in Blab, I mean, it actually cuts off like about a good quarter of it on each side. So
yes,
but it's cool
because I have a friend that we used to do like a sketch comedy show back in the day in a local cable access studio with real cameras and real backgrounds and that kind of stuff. And they keep saying, we got to do this, we got to do that. I'm like, you don't need any of that stuff. You can do it all with Blab online and Minicam. And like, oh, what about the switcher? I'm like, yeah, you don't need all that stuff anymore.
You don't need it, right? Yeah, I mean, it's all with Minicam, and it's getting slicker and slicker all the time. So are you guys going to do another 30-day challenge? Is this an ongoing thing for you guys? Or?
We do it maybe twice a year. It's one of those things now. Like we've got, I don't know, if the 100 people in the class, probably 50 of them are really, really active. But when you have 50 people doing a video every day for 30 days and you're trying to keep track of them and give them critiques and stuff like that, I'm like, oh my God, I've got 200 videos to watch today.
That's your whole day.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine.
So we do it from time to time.
Cool. And then, so you're going to be speaking down at NAMS on I'm assuming video.
Yeah. I'm going to be talking
now, are you doing
a lot about...
Are you doing a mastermind?
No, I'm actually doing a 100 level. So it's kind of weird because I have to kind of go back to basics a little bit and sort of show folks. But again, this is a great way. If you've never done video before, Facebook Live, Blab, Periscope, very low-hanging fruit, really easy to start and easy to get into it.
Yep. Yeah. So do you have a Blab show of your own that you're doing?
I do. I do a Blab every Tuesday at 4:30 Eastern called the Badass Branding Blab. And
I like it.
A colleague of mine on the West Coast, she does branding, and she's kind of, a badass. I mean, she doesn't have a lot of filters, I guess. She's so
she's got that Gary Vaynerchuk gene.
I intentionally, said, all right, I'm going to do a Blab. Now, I'm kind of an introvert. I'm kind of low key on camera, all that kind of stuff, kind of mellow. And she's totally over the top. So I said, all right, if we both do it, hopefully we'll have that yin and yang. So it's really loosey-goosey, really fast-paced. It's a half hour. We have guests every week. And so far, so good. It's pretty cool.
Cool. I think I don't know when I'm scheduled, but I know I'm coming on sometime in April, I think. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. And cool. Well, and do you email about that? Is that do you have an email list on that?
No, but I should. I'm starting to now. We're starting to promote it more. And, before we just wanted to kind of find out footing. And now that people are actually showing up and watching, we have promoted it and we promote the replays. And the other cool thing is, again, it's all becoming YouTube content. So, I do tons of videos, but at least I know that I've got a half-hour episode that's going up every week. And I also, a friend of mine from Canada, he has something called Simple Live Press, I think is what it's called, that will automatically send your blabs to your website or blog. So now I know whenever I do a blab, it's going to YouTube, it's going to my blog automatically, so it's creating new content for my blog.
See, it's cool that it's doing it automatically. I mean, the way I do it though is I copy and paste it into a post. Yeah. That way, it's searchable and it stands on its own. So it doesn't take long. I mean, basically just copy in the YouTube code and copy and paste and duplicate a page, and within a minute it's there. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People say, "Oh my gosh, it's like I don't know, content takes so long," and it's like it really doesn't. You create a piece of content that can be used in 5 different places.
Yeah, absolutely. And stuff like this is good. I mean, it lasts a long time. Somebody wants to learn about Blab. Somebody wants to learn about you. It's going to be there, ready.
Yes,
ready to rock and roll. So awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you down in Atlanta, and hopefully we'll get a chance to sit down and spend some time together. And anything else you want to, if people wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that? Just
go to loubortone.com. It's Bortone. And I got lots of freebies, lots of goodies, and I love doing this stuff. Just anything to do with video. And like you, I'm a bit of a kind of a mad scientist, and always trying to hack systems and see what's next and make it easier for folks.
Cool. Well, thanks, man, for coming on, and some great stuff. I think people get a lot out of this, at least talking about the new technologies and what's happening, and that's what I like to bring to the table is like, okay, guys, go out and play. I mean, have some fun with this stuff and just see what you can do with it. And you never know when you're going to hit that magic bullet where the audience is just going to, you know, all of a sudden start sharing and caring and doing the kind of thing.
I know I have a client that was doing really simple videos, you know, on her iPhone, and I checked the other day, one of her videos has 120,000 views.
Hey, wow. That's the way it works. Yeah. So awesome, Lou, man. Well, thanks for coming on, and good to see you. We'll see you in a few days.
Yeah. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.